Well, hello guys, welcome back to the channel, and today, as I said, I bring to you the review of this week's chapter of One Piece 823 of its name, A World, Abuzz. And my friends, this is getting repetitive, but what a chapter this one was. The last few chapters of One Piece have been a blast to read, a blast to comment and review on because there's been so much happening lately and it doesn't stop, especially with this chapter. So, without further ado, let us begin. In the cover, we have volume 15 of the From the Depths of the World 500 million Berryman arc. We see that Heracles Kun hasn't yet returned to Boyne Archipelago. So yes, it's an interesting cover just seeing mounted on an Atlas beetle, or is it just a normal beetle? I don't know. I don't know bugs. So anyway, starting with the chapter, we get to see Vivi and her committee actually leaving Alabasta, and we see Koza and his father for the first time ever since the time skip. Well, not for the first time because we saw them on the first From the Decks of the World story arc, I believe. Yes, when we found out he was the Minister of Environment, something like that. But for the first time indeed, we see now Marine HQ Rear Admiral Hina of the Iron Cage and her subordinates Django and Full Body. They don't seem to be that much different, especially all three of them don't seem to be any different at all. Hina just looks the same with sunglasses now, and Django and Full Body just look like the same. I expected a little change, but not that much of a change. I don't know if their ranks have gone up any patterns. They might be of Kobe's and Elmepo's rank back when they were at Enies Lobby, which I believe that Kobe was a chief petty officer and Elmepo was a petty officer, something like that. I do remember that Kobe is always a rank higher than Elmepo, because I believe that Kobe is now a captain and Elmepo is a lieutenant. Yes, or Kobe is a lieutenant commander. I don't know, but Kobe is a rank higher than Elmepo, and that has nothing to do with the case. So anyway, Full Body and Django's rank must have gone up somehow during the time skip. It would be impossible for them to still be the lowest of the Marine ranks. And Ine is, as we see, responsible for the escort of the Nefertari family. But, and she says, and we do not actually get to know, the estimated time of arrival to marry Joyce. So we are still not knowing when the reverie is going to be held. We know that there are some people who already arrived at Mary Joyce, and that there are some people preparing to go. So this seems to be like the same day, but if we have people from Dressrosa and from Providence King, which are in the New World, living at the same time as someone in the first half of the Grand Line, I don't know. Dressrosa seems closer to the Red Line than Alabasta does. But then again, who am I to judge One Piece geography and time schedule? The fact is, we do not know when the reverie will start in terms of time. It's not really necessary to know, unless Ina said like, oh, we arrive in 2 days, and then when the reverie started, the narrator would say 3 days later from the last chapter, and then we know, okay, so they got in there in 2 days and then 1 day to prepare themselves, whatever. And following up, we see Nefertari Vivi atop of the ship. I do not know how you call the crow's nest part of the ship, and she's just taking it on the sea air, remembering her times with the Straw Hats. And down there we see poor old Igaram just worrying his balls off for Vivi. Like, what if a monster's bird flies by? What if you're in a sniper's sight? Or if a meteor strikes? Chill down, Igaram. Fujitora is in the new world. There's no way there's meteors gonna hit Vivi anytime soon. And they just argue. And then we see Vivi's father, Cobra, and my god, he's sick. He's really, really sick. I I always thought that Oda would kill Cobra in off screen because, and allow me this, I do not know for sure, but I believe that the guy that dubbed Cobra in the anime actually died a few years back, and before that he was in hospital, and I think that Oda kind of did a not a an homage, but he kind of made Cobra to be sick as well in a cover arc. I believe it was again from the Decks of the World first story arc, and then when we see Cobra in bed. So and then we found out that the actor actually died. So I always thought that we would never see Cobra again, but we have. But now, after what he said, I do believe that he's bound to die sometime soon, and that they might make it be due to his illness. They might take advantage of his illness and actually kill him because the old man wants nothing more, nothing less than go into a reverie full of world leaders and the Marines and the Tenryubitos and the Gorosei, and the man wants to ask about the number one taboo of the world, poneglyphs. He's Ever since he's met Robin, he wants to know about the poneglyphs. He wants to know the real history of the Void Century, and he wants to know what his clan has done in the past. As interesting as it would be to know, for me, he just signed his death sentence. Because you remember what happened in Ohara. Anyone and everyone that has any sort of knowledge, even if it's just the name about or the location of a poneglyph, is someone on the government's death list. It was like that in Ohara, it is like that with Robin. And now Cobra just wants to go into the most government-filled meeting and ask about poneglyphs. For me, that's the death sentence, and that's why I think that Cobra is bound to die in the Reverie arc. Probably poisoned, and they will try to cover it up as a sort of due to his illness. But then it might be found out that it was by poison, and then we have maybe we have the revolutionaries mixed in it, not Cobra's assassination, but actually finding who poisoned Cobra, and then we might see Vivi lending her help to the revolutionaries. Yes, because no matter what the end of this chapter says, I do not believe that the revolutionaries are done by now. But we'll get to there in a second. We are still on Vivi's committee, and she's going over to her father and show her worries, and then his father is like, "Oh, I'm not going to hold much longer. If only my daughter would marry to someone." I mean, this is a bad move, Cobra. You just do not marry your daughter like that. And he says, all happy. Oh, but we have a lot of photos of suitors in the valleys. Just throw them away. Vivi wants the environmental minister. She digs the environmental stuff. Anyway, we now follow to a city very dear to us. At least I liked it. East Blue Log Town, and we see no one else than the queen of the Goa Kingdom. Goa Kingdom being the place where Luffy and Ace and Sabo grew up. Just like that, the Queen of Goa Kingdom, Sally Nantukanet. Yes. And we meet the king, King Stele. And who's this guy? Sabo's adoptive brother. Yes, that little piece of trash that was truly the incarnation of royalty, is now king of Goa Kingdom, and is going to represent such kingdom as king in the reverie. Why are we seeing Sabo's adoptive brother? I do not know. Why are we seeing him on his back? He might be uglier than ever, or he might actually mature to be a brave and beautiful young stallion. Who knows? I'm not judging. So yes, I see I see he remains as thick-headed and mean bastard as he was back in the day. So yes, nothing interesting there, at least for me. I'm not particularly interested in seeing Sabo's adoptive brother. In fact, I never expected to see Sabo's adoptive brother, nor did I expect or knew, as a matter of fact, that Goa was actually a kingdom. Yes, I know Sabo was from a royalty family of Goa, but I never ever considered that it was the royal family of Goa. So that means that if Sabo had never run from his country, he would have become the king of Goa. Just imagine that. If Sabo would have retained his personality and he would hold on his feelings of hate towards his family, he could actually have grown to be a better person as he is, and he could have risen as king of Goa and actually make things better in his country. But we all know how that went up. He just went to sea and became a revolutionary. And now we go to the place that's the center of the world that everyone wants to see brought down to his knees. At least I want to. I want to see that castle brought down to his everlasting stone. We see the holy land of Maryjoys, where every once in the 4 years there's a meeting that calls for kings and queens from over 50 of the world's country gather, and that's the reverie. And now we start seeing some of those personalities, some of those kings, and it's just an array of different people. There's a guy with like a Hitler sort of like mustache. There's guys. There's a guy with the clock handles on his chin, and might I add, a mighty mustache. My God, that's a mighty mustache. There's a thick bearded guy who looks like he comes from a snow country. There's another guy that sincerely looks a little bit like Spandine when he was younger. We see a lady, a queen, mayhaps, a one of those hardcore queens like Iron Lady style, Margaret Thatcher style, who knows? And then there's two small bars in the left corner that they are separated, but they look like one and the same, because in one we see a guy with like his mouth open sideways, and then on the other we see a cigarette. Could that cigarette be in the guy's mouth, or is it another person smoking a cigarette? Who knows? Who knows? Now we just the action starts focusing on different countries that are now familiar to us or have certain personalities that are familiar to us. First, West Blue, Kano Kuni. I was actually surprised to find out that Kano Kuni was in the West Blue. Kano Kuni, if you don't remember, is from where Don Chinjiao and Sai came from. I was actually surprised to find out it was in the West Blue. I always thought that Kano Kuni was in the Grand Line, more specifically in the New World. Apparently it is not so, and it is as predicted by a lot of people. Kano Kuni is inspired by ancient and traditional China. At least I do believe that's so, because the style of building and the style of floating from the guy who speaks, it appears to be so. And the most surprising thing is, they have a seat on the World Reverie. And Dong Qingzhao, now Sai, have a seat on the World Reverie. A little word of warning. How can a world leader, meaning Sai, now be allied to a pirate? I mean, the guy says it seems that they will not make it in time for the reverie, and I say I think that's for the better because uh, I mean they can't do with such. I mean, they can conceal it for now, and they go. And if they manage to go to the reverie, yes, they'll go to the reverie, and then later they will be revealed to be commanders of the Straw Hats Grand Fleet. But that's something to think about it. Now we go to the South Blue, to where the evil Black Drum Kingdom is governed by no other than Wapol himself. If you remember from Wapol's story arc, he actually got married to that bird-hatted lady besides him, which is One Piece's World Miss Universe, I believe. Yes, it was. He got rich by making toys and opening a company, and then he created his own kingdom, which is recognized by the world government, and so he has a seat. He has a seat on the reverie as well. And we go to his former kingdom, former Drum Kingdom, now known as Sakura Kingdom, where we see Dalton and Kureha. And Kureha says she'll go to the reverie with Dalton as the ship's doctor. I was actually expecting this. I wanted Kureha to appear again. Maybe we'll get to know a little bit more about her. And if you hadn't had enough of Dressrosa already, here you have some more Dressrosa for you who have missed it because she's ended like 3 months ago and she lasted for 2 years. Yay! No, I'm just kidding. But Viola is asking if actually Rebecca is asking if she can go to the reverie, but since she's not royalty anymore, Viola asks if she wants to go as her lady in waiting, like her not maid, but you know what it means. Rebecca will not go as lady in waiting, but she will represent as such. And now we see a little bit of Providence Kingdom. We see the Providence Kingdom castle, which is hilarious to say the least. Like Elizabeth's figure, just like me, made out of wood, and is like just compared to the real figure. I was expecting if it has to be a statue, I was expecting a bulkier statue to match Isabella's appearance, but no, it's just a piece of wood carved and then with a big head and like flexing. It's funny. And he refused the escort ship from the Marine, and he's asking if Rico wants to go together with him to the Holy Land. So we might deduce from that Prudence is after the Dressrosa and further from the Red Line, and so Elisabella will come to Dressrosa, pick up Rico, and they'll go together and all marry to the Red Line. And to close up the kingdom's presentation, we go back to Fishman Island, to the Ryugu Kingdom, where we see Princess Shirahoshi again, Mamboshi, Fukaboshi, and Ryuboshi, and Shirahoshi, as I said, and King Neptune preparing to go to the surface to attend the World Reverie. And their motive to attend to the reverie is quite interesting. They've gathered signatures for a petition for the relocation of the Fishman Island. And I am like, okay, so it's relocating the people of Fishman Island, the populace of Fishman Island, or is it actually a complete relocation? Because yes, I know the island is surrounded in a bubble, but it could be done. But how? The question is how. Some might say that Shirahoshi could use the Sea Kings to do that. The problem of that being, if she were to command the Sea Kings, she would reveal herself to the world as being Poseidon. and that it's not good. It could happen, and it could be the reason why Fishman Island is attacked, and Luffy's going there and ends up destroying Fishman Island as Shiryu, not Shiryu, as Madame Charlie predicted back in Fishman Island. The problem with it is, I think it's too early to have an ancient weapon already mixed in the current action. We had problems with Poseidon back in the day, not Poseidon, with Pluto back in the day, with the Water 7 and CP9 arcs. In Fishman Island, Poseidon was revealed to us as Shirahoshi. We still have Uranus to worry about. And to reveal Poseidon to the world just now is worrisome. Yes, we know that there's someone else who knows about Poseidon, Caribou, which was apparently captured by Drake and sent to Kaido. So who knows how if he will Kaido make use of that information? Will he even know about that information? Will Drake know of that information and then try to cover it up so not to cause any problems to the world? Who knows? The thing is that if Fishman Island is indeed to be relocated, it will need to be done in a very, very careful way. But now, enough with Kingdom's presentations and recaps. We now go back to Luffy's party, and they are just a little bit too stubborn. And Chopper's be like, yeah, that's good. Now he's like, a little more. And I was like, what? What happened to you? And then I scroll down and I see, oh yeah, they fell from Zoe, didn't they? And Nami's like screaming to Luffy, and Brook is like, my soul is going away. And yes, they are still shocked about the fall. And Nami's like giving an order, okay, so turn the ship to port. And then someone appears flying, okay, I'll do it, leave it to me. And Luffy's like, see? She was like super cherry. And then we see Carrot. Carrot in the ship, as was expected by the color spread that was released a few chapters back, which showed the Sanji rescue team, and Carrot was there. And ever since then, people thought that Carrot would join the team, and so it is. And everyone is like surprised. What is she doing here? And she starts guard chewing everyone, jumping towards everyone and guard chewing them. And Pedro already wants to, okay, can we please go back and send her? And Carrot starts crying, no, please, no one is gonna yell at me. It's so funny. Pedro's scolding her and she's like, I'm sorry. And then she starts pointing at the things she brought. She brought a carrot bento, a snack, which is a carrot, and a change of clothes. And that's all, because based on what she thinks, the journey will just take about half a day. But she's just lovely because she doesn't know anything about the world and she's just discovering it. And yes, people will get mad at me, but based on what she's shown this chapter, I am inclined to think that Carrot has a strong, not 100%, but she has a strong possibility of being considered. I am treading very carefully on this matter because it is a sensible matter, especially ever since Dressrosa, where the Straw Hats crew would become like a train to carry all those people if everyone entered as a crew member, not as an ally, as a crew member. I strongly believe that Carrot has a chance of being the next crewmate. Not Pedro and Carrot, maybe just Carrot. Yes, some people might say that she really doesn't have a function that she doesn't do anything that we know of. And that's true. That's the only reason why I'm still just considering it a possibility, a very, very tenuous possibility, but a possibility nonetheless. And I say possibility a lot this video. And now it comes the thing that surprised me the most about her. Luffy's there munching on her carrot, and suddenly she jumps at him. And she starts biting, ripping his throat off. She bites his throat. Would she kept going? Luffy's throat would have been ripped. And it just, I find it out funny. He just stabs her in the head, and she's like, ah, so cute. And Luffy's like dying there. Some people gonna say, yes, Luffy was caught unpredicted. Yes, but that doesn't take away the fact that carrot almost ripped Luffy's throat. That's the point. So. And Pedro even states, to be fair, she's certainly stronger than your average, so Carrot is nothing to be messed with. And now we see Pedro up there in the crow's nest, waiting for something, which we find out it's the journal. And then we get the news that breaks this whole chapter, and broke the internet, might I add, because everyone went bananas after hearing this. The headquarters of the Revolutionary Army, the secret country that was shrouded in secrecy for decades, has finally been discovered. Baltigo is in ruins. Now, let us look at this from the various perspectives that we can. First perspective, which is unfortunately the one that most people are considering in the internet, the Blackbeard pirates beat the Revolutionary Army. Some people believe that the Blackbeard pirates were able to defeat the Revolutionary Army, that they might have already killed most of them and captured the important leaders, Sabo, Dragon, perhaps even Kov, and some others, Kubala, maybe, Hack. Some people strongly believe that and are already discrediting the Revolutionary Army. On the other hand, we have a not so much belief theory, but it's the one I believe in, and I've read it somewhere in the forums. I believe it was on the Euro Jackson forums or somewhere else in the internet. But some people might actually believe that the destruction of Baltigo was either a consequence of the battle, which is plausible, and that actually the Revolutionary Army was able to escape. But the third point, and it's the one I believe the most, the destruction of Baltigo was a move planned by the revolutionaries. How so? Let us think from the beginning. When they left Dressrosa, assuming that there was only one ship, because let's face it, the Revolutionary Army wouldn't want to go around and move with more than at least 2 ships. But we'll consider one ship. Burgess boarded that ship. Okay. How come, please explain this to me, how come that the Revolutionary second in command, Sabo, wasn't able to sense Burgess using the observation haki? Yes, some people might say that, oh, but he never showed the haki of observation. We do not know if Sabo has the haki of observation. And I say, really? The second in command, a master of, well, I say a master, but a good user of the armament haki, doesn't have the faintest tiny little wee bit of observation haki. I find that hard to believe. My theory is that he actually sensed Burgess, but he didn't told anyone. He was like, you know what? He's in a place. My throat's getting dry. Sorry. is in a place of the ship that no one will stumble across him, and we'll leave it like that. And so, ta-da-da-da-da, from the Roses to their way to Baltigo, we arrived at Baltigo. Hello everybody, I got the Mera. I'm the best. Yo dragon, need to speak to you. And I'm going to speak in private. And Sabo starts telling the story of Rose, and then in the end he's like, but you remember that guy who tried to steal my fruit and your son's fruit? Yeah, he's back there hiding in a rock. And he's probably already contacted someone via Dendenmushi. So what do you think? Should we put that plan of ours in motion? Because I believe that Baltigo's destruction was already planned. Because it's too much of a coincidence. The reverie is happening. The Revolutionaries' army base appears destroyed. I mean, it's too much of a coincidence. What if it was planned by the Revolutionaries to destroy their base as a signal to the world, we are here? And you know what happens now? It's the reverie. We were in Baltigo. Baltigo is now destroyed. Reverie, here we go. The Blackbeard pirate's appearance has only made things more liable and more conspicuous, because now the world will think, if the news doesn't go any further on casualties and that, because we do not know the full extent of the article yet, but imagine that it just says Baltigo was found in ruins. Dot. No casualties, no bodies were found. Mayhaps they are all captured by Blackbeard. Whatever. But now they have destroyed base, so they are thought to be made prisoners. And the whole Blackbeard scene was just made it more gullible, and the world would see, oh, good, the Revolutionary Army was defeated by Blackbeard. GG, Blackbeard, GG. A pat in the back for yourself. And then we find out a bit later that the Revolutionary Army was not at all destroyed. I believe this to be the most probable approach for this situation. I've seen people already considering Sabo's defeat and another hole blown through Sabo's chest as ace. But no, Oda is not the kind of guy who repeats himself on things. And so I believe he will take a different approach with the Revolutionaries Army. And my God, do you sincerely believe that he was there nurturing the Revolutionary Army all this time? We've been hearing about the Revolutionary Army ever since, like, what? I dare say Water 7. And we've seen Dragon way before. And then in Water 7, in post-Water 7, we found out that Dragon, Luffy's father, was the leader of the Revolutionaries. And he's the most wanted man in the world. And we have Ivankov, we have Sabo, we have all the other leaders. And I just find it hard to swallow that such a powerful force was defeated off screen. It doesn't make sense. So my belief is, yes, Baltigo is in ruins, but it was on purpose. It was made on purpose so that the revolutionaries could conceal themselves and could give the government a false sense of security for the reverie, and then they strike at full force. So that's it. Those are my opinions on this week's chapter. I hope you have enjoyed it. I'm very, very eager to read the next chapter. As always, these last few chapters have left me like that. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Please comment on the comment section down below what you've thought about this chapter. What are your thoughts on my opinion? What do you think will happen from now on? And please do tell me as well, from all those leaders, those new leaders that were shown, which are the ones you are most interested to know about? Since they are new personalities to the world, and if they were shown, they will most certainly at least be presented, given a name, given a kingdom. So, which is the one you're most eager to hear about? Please do tell me that in the comment section below. As I always say, she's yours to use and abuse, so please do so. And again, I am making a habit out of this, but I will try to stop. if you please could share this video with your friends, with anyone you know who likes One Piece and likes to hear about others' opinions and share those opinions with them. Please do share this video and the channel with them. I know it's not the greatest channel on YouTube now, but little by little, step by step, I will try to improve it as much as I can. Enough self-promoting. I say my goodbyes to you, and I will see you next week with a fresh batch of chapters to review. And